Hello and welcome to Rob from the Internet Talks About Beer, a show where we discuss different styles of beer, beer history, beer flavor profiles. We give shout outs to breweries we think make exceptional beer, and we talk about whatever else comes to mind during the course of the conversation. I'm Rob from the Internet. Let's talk about beer. All right, so joining me today is a new Twitter friend that I gained recently. His name is Joe Slavik. Joe, if you would, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into craft beer, and what you do when you're not drinking or talking about craft beer.
Hi Rob, how's it going? Thanks for having me on today. I kind of got into craft beer, probably about like 10, 12 years ago-ish, and I eased into it with Innocent Gun. So those of you who've had the rum barrel-aged Innocent Gun, their standard flagship, that's an easy way to get into it. I'm not saying that's craft beer, but that was my kind of first foray beyond the Coors Lights and Budweisers of yesteryear, we'll call it. I've kind of really got into the craft in the last, I'd say, 7 years. And a friend of mine, we both do homebrew, so we've been doing that since about 2015, 2016.
Okay.
No particular styles that we kind of go for. We kind of dabble a little bit here and there. I'm from KW, so there's a homebrew and a brew location here called Short Finger. Um,
Yep.
their head brewer Rob has done some events for some beer competition events that we've participated in. So um, we've lucked out when it came to making some good like German style malt heavy beers, but we're still kind of learning the nuances of hazy IPAs and kind of lighter IPAs. Right now, we blame it on the water here in Waterloo. We're just going to leave it there. It's a water's fault. That is a water's fault, right? So
That's right.
and outside of that, I am a full-time realtor and just kind of got into that field in the last little while. So new to that and exciting world of realty as it is, especially right now with housing prices, becoming just ridiculously unaffordable. And I guess in my spare time, fun time, I'm very active. I'm a runner, bicyclist, stuff like that. And I have kind of a small engine business on the side too.
Nice, nice. You'd
Yeah.
never know it to look at me, but I am also a runner. But
I did see some of your posts. It looks good, man. I mean, like whatever you can do, that's how I look at it. Whatever I can do, I just try to do it, right? Because it's
Yep.
been a long haul for me to kind of get close to even run 5 and 10K. So I'm just proud that I come home every day and don't have any kind of leg pain, and I can just keep going.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So today we're going to be talking about a a style that is has seen a resurgence in the last few years. It's the Berliner Weisse. Now we're not going to be talking about the standard non-flavored traditional Berliner Weisse, although I will be giving some information about that style. We're actually going to be drinking a flavored Berliner Weisse. So we both happen to have the same beer today. So it is Nickelbrook's Blackberry Jam Stand.
Yep.
So which is a traditional Berliner Weisse that's been flavored with fruit. So Berliner Weisse is traditionally is a regional variation of wheat beers that comes from northern Germany, dating back to about the early to mid 16th century. It's typically low in alcohol and is refreshingly tart, and it's often served with a flavored syrup if you're not using a flavored variety of the beer. Um, Berliner Weiss as a style presents a great balance between yeast and lactic acid tastes. Traditional versions often show off their tartness and show off the fact that they use Brettanomyces for their yeast. All the obviously, other than flavored versions, they're always a very pale color, so super light yellow to a kind of light straw color. And they are typically unfiltered, though some breweries do filter them. So you'll see the style. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's a bit hazy. Either is totally acceptable, either is totally delicious. In the late 19th century, believe it or not, Berliner Weiss was the most popular style in the city of Berlin. Go figure, Berliner Weiss. At one point there were over 50 breweries in the city of Berlin producing the style of beer. But by the late 20th century, that had gone down to 2 breweries that were making it, and they are both owned by the same parent company. So technically, it's really one brewery that still makes the style of beer. In the last 10, 15 years, it's gained popularity in North America. Many brewers add in addition to making a traditional one, add flavors to it. So like today, we're doing a blackberry. It's blackberry and mint, I think it is what this one is. So I think I think it's blackberry mint that we're having today.
Okay.
When you're doing the flavored ones, they tend to use fruits that have big flavor to kind of overcome the tartness. Hey, there's your furry pal you were talking about.
Everybody guess. He loves the neighbor. I was gonna go see the neighbor.
Gotcha. So these beers are typically not bitter. They're not really alcohol heavy, and the residual amount of sugars in them is actually pretty low. So that makes them a very good beer for hot days if you want something that's refreshing and thirst quenching. So let's indulge ourselves here. Yes.
Has a sweet smell of almost ice wine.
Yeah, and that's what you should get. Even on a traditional one, you should get kind of a sweet, kind of fruity smell to it. You might if you have a more sensitive nose than I do, you might pick up on the sour, like the tartness in the smell.
Mm-hmm. There was a mild tartness there. It comes through. For 4%, I've had higher ABV sours before that didn't have this level of sour to it. So it's definitely, for a low hitter, it packs a different punch.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah, I just was up north, northern Ontario here with my neighbor, helping him out do a solar panel install, and it was still like 30 degrees up there with 39 with the humidity. So yeah, just hanging off that roof, just head to toe sweat all weekend. Like, it's just been something else. I'm like, I had more heavy hitters up there, but this actually would have been so bad to have at the time.
Right.
Yeah. So, a little easier on you.
Yeah, it is. It's a little easier on it, and with that tartness and dryness that you get from drinking it actually helps slake your thirst. Mm-hmm. So you're not like some beers, you drink them and they leave a film in your mouth, which requires you to drink more to get rid of it. Whereas this, when it dries, you drink it, you open your mouth, and it like dissipates and it's gone.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I see what you mean. Yeah. I had like good double IPAs or hazy pale ales, and especially being unfiltered, it leaves that last little residual in your mouth too, especially the bottom of the can. So you're reaching for the next one to wash down the last one, right? So
right.
But no, not bad.
Yeah. So if you're drinking a traditional Berliner Weisse, so it's going to be that pale kind of straw yellow color, and it's going to actually have flavors of like bread or graham crackers in it. So unfortunately, when you have a flavored one like this, that flavor kind of gets pushed to the wayside because it is really light to begin with. So when you add something that's got such a flavor in it, like blackberries do, it's going to overwhelm the rest of the flavor palette. So.
Now, do we have any LCBO that are common, Rob? I was actually trying to look around, and I didn't see anything that seems like it's a common staple at the LCBO for a traditional style.
It is not. The traditional style has kind of lost favor in recent times to things like this.
Yeah.
Because people don't want most consumers don't want just your standard sour Berliner Weisse. They want something with flavor as well, because that's what they've come to expect from craft beers is depth of flavor and more flavor than you'd get in other beers. So,
well, I know even going to because I know sours, like it took a while for them to catch on the last few years, but they have kind of taken that next step, and that's why we have things like this. I know just from going to any number of our Southern Ontario breweries, which I think I've had to have been to at least think I'm somewhere in the area of about 85%, but because we keep getting new ones, it's hard to keep up, right? But I try to accomplish as many as I can. One of the first things you'll see if you go there, say on a Saturday, like maybe mid to late afternoon, you'll see on their board that if they have a good assortment, they'll have something that was about 4%, whether it was sour or not, and it's fruited. And that one is 9 times out of 10 X'd out because that's the
Yeah.
one everybody drank. Typically, the women finished it off because that would be the common choice. I know with my ex-partners, that would be the one I would get them. It usually would just like a fruited ale or even like a fruited wheat ale, just something simple for them because they're not big beer drinkers. But because those do tend to be sweet, always the first one's gone.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
well,
who knows about this style, but
well, especially with the warmer weather, the lighter, fruitier beers tend to go quicker because they tend to be, one, lower alcohol, and two, they tend to be of the style that's more of a thirst quenching style than a non thirst quenching style. So, and it makes sense. I mean, it's really hot out. Unless you're me, you're not going to be wanting to sit on the hot patio with like a double digit barrel aged stout in your hand. I mean, I would, but
that's not an easy one to do. But yeah, there is that time. And actually, I think it happened like 2 weeks ago. Bellwood's had a few things on sale and stuff like that, or just a few beers, and I was like, I haven't made an order in a while, and they actually had like I can't remember the name of it, but it's the opposite of their Dead Stout. The opposite name of it, We're Alive Now or something. I said, we're dead now, we're alive now. And I ordered like 2 of them because I'm like, I feel like a stout. You get to that point in the summer where it's just, I've had enough of summer beers, at least, temporarily, because you do go back to them. But it's like, I wouldn't mind a porter right now, or I wouldn't mind a stout right now. Just kind of ease over into the other side. Because, yeah, you're right. It's like, you can only it's just like the seasons. You can only hang out in them for so long until you kind of get a little tired of them. Right? Like, it would be nice to have a little bit of a break from the heat, but it looks like the rest of the week is going to be just as hot as it's been for the last 3 weeks. But can't complain. I try to remind myself, don't complain about the weather. Don't do that, because in February you're going to be just itching
right.
for these days, right? You're just like, I'm sitting out here on the patio just having a beer. I'm like, I love these days. Don't complain how hot it is. Just sit under a tree or something.
Right.
Cooling down, right? So.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I'm one of those people that I don't believe that beers have seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will drink barrel aged stouts in the middle of summer. I will drink Berliner Weisse and Gozas in the winter. I don't care. I just, whatever I happen to be in the mood for. My go-to style, as anybody who's watched this show knows, my go-to style is stouts and porters, and the bigger the better. So. Double-digit ABV is my wheelhouse, and I don't care if it's 35 degrees out and 90% humidity. If I'm in the mood for a stout, I'm in the mood for a stout.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you do like, how would you rank your love of stouts and porters and stuff like that? Are you going like plain Jane, then barrel aged, then maybe sweetened somehow, or do you have an order you put them in?
Yeah, for me, the top of the pecking order for me would be barrel aged stouts. So
okay.
Like bourbon barrel aged stouts, followed closely behind by like wine barrel aged and rum barrel aged stouts.
Okay.
Then we drop into just the standard imperial stouts,
mm-hmm.
and then Baltic porters, and then your standard stouts and porters. So.
And where does the pastry stout, when they start throwing like German chocolate cake and stuff at you? Where do those fall?
Those are I consider those all dessert beers.
Yeah.
And they're they're not really in with the standard classifications, because sometimes you really do just want dessert in a bottle or dessert in a can.
Yep.
And they're perfect for that. Like I just finished off. I had some from Grain and Grit that was called Hokey Pokey,
mm-hmm.
which was a pastry stout. So it was an imperial stout with heavy chocolate and everything, and it was fantastic. But it was one of those, on a hot day, I drink one of those before I switch to a different stout if I'm going to be drinking stouts, because the super sickly sweetness of the pastry stouts on a really hot day is not something that is super appealing to me. I enjoy them, so I still have at least one. But
yeah, no, that's the thing. They are good, but yeah, they're like a limited time to when and how often you have those. Usually, I share some with like a buddy of mine or whatever. So typically, if we're only open like a 330, if we have to go bomber, you have to go bomber. But at least that way you're getting yourself down to like a 375 pour, so it's not you're not trying to sit here and put back like a 12% bomber by yourself that tastes like
right.
chocolate cake, because that usually puts you on your butt anyway. So I try not to go for those if I can avoid having a big one. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good ones out there. I'd say that the one brewery from Oshawa there, they had a bunch of stouts in the kind of like late winter, early spring, and I was surprised. I was like, yeah, geez, I was there, and they had probably about like 5 or 6 of them on the wall. I was like, man, I got to buy all these now. I'm like, I'll do it. I will do it. But that's a lot. Like usually, breweries only have like 1 or 2. Like I was at Five Paddles, so they had like their Godiva stout, which was excellent. They did a fantastic job with that. And even one of my go-tos now, and I still only have maybe 2 a year, although I do appreciate they lowered the bottle size, is the Chocolate Manifesto from Flying Monkeys. Whenever I have anyone ask about like what's a good flavored chocolate beer that really stands out, it's always the Manifesto, just because of how deep and how like multi-layered that chocolate is in that beer. I think they did a fantastic job with that beer.
Yeah, that's that one's okay in my opinion. I mean, it's never really been my thing. It's like I said, it's not bad beer, but it's just it's one of those I drink it and I'm just like, yeah, this is okay. It's not unlike you, who you said it's one of your favorites, which is that's cool that you found something that you think is is one of your favorites and everything. But I don't know. I've never really been overly impressed with Flying Monkeys beer. I think at least to me, most of it is just kind of mediocre. It's good. Yep. It's not terrible. I wouldn't refuse it if someone handed it to me, but I wouldn't go out of my way to order it if there was something else in the same style available to me.
Sure. Yep. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. We have, unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate. I'll say unfortunate just because I have my own unique taste and style that I like as well. But we have, I think we got about 7 breweries around here now in KW. So Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge is kind of the bubble I'll include. And we have, there's 2 in particular that stand out for me. I'm not going to throw their names out there just because I'm not trying to put anybody down. But it's just kind of disheartening to a point because I'm like, I really do like the style, and I like but these 2 just stand out. Well, 3 really. 3. And I'm just, every time, I'm underwhelmed. Every time. I think I've one good beer from one of the breweries once, and he went and changed what he was doing with it. And I even I messaged him out on Twitter, and I was like, why does this taste like entirely different from before when it is labeled and, well, you say it is exactly the same beer. Like, it's just you do it every summer kind of thing. And he said he went with a different means of kind of like introducing the hops. I didn't understand it's something I hadn't heard of before, and I was like, well, just so you know, there's no hop flavor at all. There's none. It doesn't taste hoppy, and it's supposed to taste hoppy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I said to him, like, did I get a bad can or something? And he's like, no, that's the way it should taste. I'm like, well, then that's the last time I'm going to buy that.
Yeah. So, I've had that happen too. Like, there've been breweries where they're like, oh, this is a new take on this old recipe that we had, and I've had it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I preferred the old one better.
yeah, I know they've changed a few, and that's the thing. I had what did I have on the weekend? I had something on the weekend, and I was like, yeah, this isn't the same. But I know that one thing a lot of breweries don't do. They don't go too far down the alpha acidity road. They go as far as they can, but if they're going to continue to make that same beer, same name and stuff like that with those same hops, that alpha acidity is always going to be a little bit different. So sometimes it's just not going to carry the same kind of punch, the same kind of hit as you'd kind of want from that beer, or what you previously experienced before. So I know some of our like flagship IPAs and double IPAs that we get around here, same thing. Sometimes you're like, yeah, that's different now. It's just different now. And I don't know if they're changing, if they're mixing it up a bit, but yeah, that's kind of what's the whole disheartening side of hops. So lucky for us, there's many hops in it, but still has it's one of those things. I don't get a roll with it, but yeah, sometimes it's never as good as it was the first time.
Yeah. So the thing about Berliner Weisses and hops is they actually only use noble style hops. So those are the old school German hops, and they play a very small role in this beer. You shouldn't smell them. You shouldn't really taste them.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't even, like, when you're drinking this beer, you shouldn't taste any malt or anything like that, like you do with, say, an ESB or a porter or a stout where they're really malt forward. This is the malt, again, plays somewhere off in the background, is where that does its job. It's just there to help build the body and help make it make it alcoholic. So if you bring it up to your nose, you shouldn't smell any alcohol at all. You should only smell either slightly sour and whatever fruit there happens to be in it.
Yep.
When you look at it, it should look like it's fairly carbonated. I mean, you're in a can, so you can't really see the carbonation, but
I was actually wondering if I could actually almost see through it, and it actually kind of looked like I could almost see through the beer.
Yeah, it is. This one is fairly clear.
Yeah. That's no surprise, but
right, it's a wheat beer, but it's not filtered, so it's obviously going to have a little bit of haze to it.
Yeah.
So fun fact for people out there who are beer chemistry nerds or beer statistic nerds. So in a traditional Berliner Weiss, the SRM value, which is the color, should be between 2 and 4. The IBUs, which is the measure of the bitterness, should be between 3 and 6. So not bitter at all. Not even coming close to having any bitterness in it. Our traditional style one, say an old world standard Berliner Weiss, should be between 2.8 and 3.4% alcohol, believe it or not. So really low. Modern takes like these are anywhere from 3.6 to 5.5%. So which has changed over the years because the consumer has driven that. They've wanted a beer that's still fairly low alcohol, but they don't want it to be super low. They want something that's still going to give them a little bit of that alcohol buzz when they've had a few.
Yeah, I would say that if this was coming in at like a 2.6, you probably could even back off that tartness even more. You probably would just kind of pull it back, because I know with just my experience with people and sours and all that kind of stuff that some, they yin and they yang about how much they can handle in sours and stuff. So this one in and of itself, I think it could be the fruit as well. It is, a little bit more on the sour side, I'd say, than that. Like if you were to draw a line in the middle, ever so slightly more tart, but with less alcohol, and you brought it back, then maybe more people would be more inclined to try something like this. It's hard to say because the fruit they choose is also tart, so it always a little further. But no, I don't mind it, actually. It's not that bad. It's not something I would have necessarily reached for on my own, just because I typically have a certain style I stick within generally. But having said that, when I do try to do my best to kind of say, if I grab 6 beers of the LCBO, I always try to grab 2 or 3 that are, I haven't seen that before. That seems different. That seems interesting. Give that a try. So it might be, it could be like a salted goza, or it could be like something like a Nickelbrook does seem to come out with more sours, I find, than a lot of our local, at least in my LCBO anyway, than my local breweries around here. And the LCBO here seems to be like Nickelbrook is kind of that go-to for sours for the most part. I know that we have Jelly King now. Like the Bellwoods has been put their Jelly Kings out there, but
which is delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Not anywhere near the amount you can get at the brewery, but we have one, right? So they have one staple that they kind of keep pumping out. So still not a lot of sour things, but yeah, this is not that bad at all.
Yeah. So Nickelbrook, they have their what they call their Funk Lab, which is where all their sours and all that stuff are, which is in Burlington, and so this is like an evolution of their Uber series. So this takes the Uber. This takes their Uber series and kind of amps up the flavor and amps up the body on it a bit, while actually dialing back a little bit of the acidity and a little bit of the carbonation. But they do make fantastic sours, and they do make a lot of them. Like they had a whole series, their Uncertainty Principle series. I think there were 7 of them, which were all different sours, and they were all fantastic.
I remember that. Was it last summer or the summer before that? There was 2 summers ago. They were kind of heavy on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took place over 2 summers.
Yeah.
So it was, they had a bunch of these beers come out, and they were great. I loved them all. I mean, some of them I liked better than others, but not one of them was a bad beer. I mean,
No, I was trying to think. I remember that you said that when you said Uber that because there was one. I think it was like a lime something or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was fantastic. I remember that
yep.
a friend of mine, like typically we're like IPA guys, and that kind of stuff. But we tried a couple of those when they brought them out, and yeah, we went back looking for more. Like we actually went and got like a 12 of each just so we had them for the summer, so we could kind of go off and go from like in an IPA to grabbing one of those because they were delicious. They were just the perfect balance of everything. Yeah, I got to look that up again. Those were really good. Yeah, I think I noticed there's not much mint. I'm not getting that mint there.
Right. So the mint should be just a hint at the finish. So it's not supposed to be heavy, like hit you in the mouth mint. It's supposed to be you open your mouth and you get that slight refreshing little tinge from the mint. So it shouldn't be a major player. It should just be a background player as well, just like the malt and the hops are in this beer. The main player in this beer is going to be obviously the blackberry, and then obviously the lactic acid, so the acidity and sourness of it. That's the two main things for this beer.
For sure, yeah.
For anybody who's interested, the finish on this beer, traditional style, should be anywhere from short to medium length. On this particular one, it's a very short finish. You drink it, you open your mouth, and it kind of dissipates, and it's gone within a couple of seconds. Carbonation when you're actually drinking it, as opposed to the visual carbonation where it kind of looks like it's medium. Carbonation on a Berliner Weisse is supposed to be high because that helps drive that tartness, and it helps drive that quenching sensation that you get from it. Good food pairings to have with Berliner Weisse, including this one, would be a ham and cheese sandwich on a pretzel bun. It would play well with that. Havarti cheese, just by itself with this beer, would be good. And then if you're looking to go a little sweeter, cheesecake with either a light chocolate drizzle or a fruit drizzle on it would go well with this style of beer as well. So if you're looking for traditional serving style, it's supposed to be served in a goblet. I don't have any goblets. All I have are tulip glasses, so that's what I served it in, which is also acceptable. But you know what? If you get it served in a pint glass to you, drink it because it's still going to be good.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or if you only want to go lazy, just have it in a can, then just do it in a can. Because
just do it in the can.
I've knocked too many of my bar glasses off these things just by moving the wrong way. So these things, they spill, but they don't break.
That's right. Typical serving temperature should be between 7 and 10 degrees Celsius, which is 45 to 50 degrees for my friends who are not metric friendly. Good examples of this style, other than this, which is a great example of the style, is the Nickelbrook Uber series. Yeah, those are always delicious Berliner Weisses, though they do have slightly higher acidity and slightly higher carbonation than these do. Hottenroth Berliner Weiss by the brewery out of California makes a great one of these. And then Berliner Kindelweiss by Berliner Kindl Brewery in Germany, one of the last two in Berlin that are actually still making it, makes a great version of this. So it's a classic summer beer. It's one of those that if you're sitting out in the hot sun or you're sitting at the beach or whatever, it'd be a great one to have in your hand.
Yep.
So and honestly, it is one of my go-to styles in the summer. Berliner Weiss and Gozas are two of my go-tos in the summer, just because they are quenching. And Gozas are got that slight bit of salt to them, so it's kind of like drinking a sports drink.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to bring any fruit. It's already got fruit in it, so there you go.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, saves the packing. Don't worry about it.
Well, awesome. This has been a great show. We've come to the end of the show, so this is the part where I say, if you liked this video, please click like. Please subscribe, and if you want to be notified, click the little bell so you're notified when new episodes come out. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, leave them in the aptly named comment section below. If you have a question or you're looking for real estate and you want to talk to Joe, leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to forward on the information to him. It's but until next time, I'm Rob from the internet. Cheers.